Well, it's Wednesday again, so it's time to catch up on the comic books that Doug Nelson's been reading. And Stargirl and the Lost Children, the part of this, the new Golden Age initiative that Jeff Johns is overseeing with all these old Justice Society characters and whatnot. Basically, I guess starting over what they were doing before they changed everything around to really no avail, but you know. And this was a side project to the new Justice Society series, which is a long-winded introduction to whatever this overall version of them is or will be. So, but yeah, if the payoff is great, which I'm dubious of, then it'll all be worth it, you know. But you get some entertaining stuff in it. Now the Stargirl series was it was childish because it's all children involved in these. Is this the island of lost sidekicks, and some of whom did exist, others they just made them up, and just said, oh, for some reason they were taken out of the timeline, and time is always messed up because they keep messing with it, so on and so forth. And so, but you got introduced to all these characters again. Some were established way back when in the 40s, and the rest, quite a few, were not. Most notably, Jay Garrick's daughter here they're introducing. So it came to an end, to a big battle, and Our Man from the DC 1 million version, you know, the android Our Man, he's the real culprit. No, he's not. There's another one revealed in the story, and it leaves it open for further developments with the characters within themselves, and also a bit sad and all that sort of thing, but nevertheless. But the ultimate outcome of it all is not a final battle between Stargirl and Our Man. No, it's that, well, all the sidekicks, they can't be restored to their timeline, so they're just going to be adopted by the JSA in current time. So Stargirl brings them all home with her. Except for a couple, but there's reasons for that. So that's the outcome of the story. The art was well done, and you know, for the romp that it is, it's okay. But a lot of this of, hey, we're restarting this whole thing, and it goes on and on and on, and this wasn't really much of a story. It didn't really define things in total. Because obviously the main reveal of the villain here doesn't answer everything, and of course it spills over into what Justice Society is doing, where the main villain there is already identified as Degatin or Degatin or what. Who knows how you're supposed to pronounce the name, but that is the original main villain for the Justice Society way back when in the 40s, and his time travel abilities and all that sort of thing. And so it fits in with all of that. But yeah, I don't know that the payoff's going to be all that great. That's always the problem. A lot of teasing, and been through that for quite a few years. Tease, and never really gave much thought, or just couldn't decide on anything as to what the ultimate outcome was. The thing about the superhero comics and their templates and narratives is that, well, you can have arcs and whatnot, and then they're resolved, but you always have the fallback of the basic structure of what they do. And here's somebody who's up to no good, and they stop him and all of that. And then a little bit of soap opera sprinkled throughout between the characters. But my God, with DC and Marvel, it's just been, you know, events on and on and on. And it never lands because they don't let it. And so I see a lot of that in this, which takes away from a lot of the elements that were not bad, were pretty good about the Stargirl series. So, you know, so probably more downside than not, which is unfortunate, but you know, that's what they did. Meanwhile, over at the main title of the Justice Society of America, we have the Huntress, Helena Wayne, the original, brought back due to time travel shenanigans. And so they're basically, she's in Stargirl's position trying to figure out, oh, what's the mystery and everything. And once again, a cover that's a bit misleading. She and Power Girl do not fight. Maybe later, I don't know. So anyway, there's a lot of telltale signs of what the main villain, Dagotten, is up to. Here's the Justice Society as they originally were, all defeated, and looks like they're all dead and their table's destroyed. Oh my god, this is the ultimate goal, apparently, of Dagotten, who, after being defeated by them repeatedly, no matter how many times he's changed time and all that. But hey, he's just going to do it again. Oh, and here's the quotes. If you fell down yesterday, you stand up today. H.G. Wells, author of The Time Machine. But here's Per Dagotten's idea. If you fell down yesterday, go back in time and kill everyone who made you fall. So there's the plot of what he's up to. And so you get yet again another one of these where they're seemingly establishing a new order for the continuity. If the continuity that they establish has more than 5 minutes to breathe, they might actually have something. But again, I'm dubious that that'll happen. So, Helena Wayne's on her tour through history and whatnot, and ends up in present time, and talks about what could happen. And I guess this is supposed to be another version of the Justice Society that could or could not happen. It doesn't matter. But that's the idea. His plan now is to change time and create his own dark Justice Society. So the one that did exist never did, and that sort of thing. So anyway, and boy, I tell you, a big fail on the outfit they've given the Hunter. This is absolutely, I mean, take your pick of the different versions of her costume that she had, but this is just lazy. The Power Girl's basically in the same suit she's always had. So for some reason, poor Huntress, she just doesn't get one, and she gets that. So that's why Perdigotten really wants to destroy everything. He saw, oh my God, look at this outfit they got her in. It's terrible. I got to change time. So, yeah, they're babbling on about, oh, what's he up to? We don't know. And they discover a means by which how his powers work, and that he's able to predict what the Justice Society will do. So he's able to defeat them, but he can't predict Dr. Fate, and he can't predict Helena Wayne. There's sort of these anomalies in the time stream, so they can get around him. So that's how he gets defeated this issue, but of course he time travels, so he goes back, starts over again. Meanwhile, she slips away from the group, even though she's a person out of time, and she heads over to meet Daddy. Yeah. So this is kind of emerging of, it looks to be, who knows, of the old order of DC Comics, which I really wish they would just do. I loved Crisis on Infinite Earths, but I think the results of it was just permanent damage to the DC line, and they've been struggling with it ever since. But it looks like what they're really doing is going back to the pre-52, which they've made several attempts at doing, with Rebirth and all that. And but it's, hey, they still can't land it. So try again. Where there was a Justice Society. So the World War II era for this Earth as a Justice Society, it just didn't have Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, although Wonder Woman, I think they could establish she could have been there. Maybe they've done that. I haven't kept up. At one point, they did that it was Hippolyta as Wonder Woman doing that. But maybe they just say, well, one Diana's really old, and she was there. And that sort of thing. I've never liked that idea because I prefer Superman being the premier superhero as he is. So, of course, the multiverse thing worked. It was the original setup, and they had their Superman and so on and so forth. As it is, it's still not going to be a Power Girl. Well, who's she if you merge the two? This is, well, the multiverse thing, you're still stuck to the mess you made. But here it looks like they're merging the two. Still gonna have to explain Power Girl. And where the Justice Society happened and all that sort of stuff. And then you had your new era of superheroes with Superman and Batman, the Justice League. And then in some distant point in the future, there's the Justice Society, where Batman and Catwoman got married and had a daughter. And then they died, and she's the carrying on the mantle of a new, and she's a member of the new Justice Society, teaming up with Power Girl and the like. So that's kind of the merging that they did with that, where in the 80s, they had Infinity Incorporated and whatnot, but they had the idea of the Justice Society as they aged and whatnot. Their kids began to succeed them and take over. And the Huntress and Power Girl were a big part of that. And then Crisis happened, and it was all erased. And so it's still trying to cobble it together, but I think it only functioned in its original form, because they had their separate timelines. And the idea that she's the future and she's the daughter of Batman and Catwoman, as it was in that old narrative, I just don't think it's going to work in their new Prime universe or whatever, where you're keeping Batman young forever and just say, well, in the future he'll die. And how do you don't have crossovers with them and stuff? Well, she's out of time, and so will Power Girl be. It's just it's too much gobbledygook, and you can't land it. So you need to just bite the bullet and bring the multiverse back, and just, and they keep messing that up. They've tried that with Earth 2 and whatnot a while back, and ruined that. It's just the only way that works. And those connections with it, you can get these powerful stories and whatnot. But in this case, instead of her being an alternate reality daughter of a Batman, they're positing it that no, this is her father in his young prime days, and she knows he's going to die, and she's trying to prevent it, and that sort of thing. And you understand that narrative and story, and for the context of it, it might work out all right. But as standing up a new standard and continuity, it's probably going to collapse almost immediately. So, unless, of course, they established that, no, it's a separate entity and all that sort of thing. And then they go back to the old days where the Justice League annuals, they'd cross over with the Justice Society, have an adventure like that, stuff like that. But anyway, that's the troubling aspects of it. And also, again, dubious that the payoff would be all that great. Yes, that is Batman beating up a toad. Yeah. Anyway, I will still follow it. I'm intrigued by the concepts and ideas. I've just, of course, been burned so many times. I'm dubious that the payoff will be all that great. But hopefully, I'm completely wrong. But, we'll see. Meanwhile, over at Marvel, once again, hey, what's the best things they've got going for them? Well, stories about the past. So, yeah. Avengers War Across Time, which I said is their closest thing to compete with DC's World's Finest at the moment. It's nowhere near as good as World's Finest, but it's pretty good. It's a fun romp. It just really doesn't go anywhere. And the ending is pretty lackluster. They confront Kang, and then they beat him. That's about it. And that's it. They get a tour of their future in one of the issues, and it's like, oh, we need to stop that. Wish you would. That would have been incredible if this was a thing that they changed the entire new Marvel situation and restore it. But no, that's not what they did. So there you go. Oh, look. Oh boy, look what we come to. Oh. So that's basically that. It was a lot of a tour of the timeline, which is just, panels. And of course, Alan Davis does it much better than others. But it ultimately results in nothing. So, and then they come back. And so, well, what was the ultimate point of all of this? They win. That's it. And then, of course, Kang can attack them again at some other time and all that. So it was just a tour and a bit of a taste of what used to be and what it could be. But you're not going to get it. And that's about it. And but it was fun while it lasted. So, in keeping with the only thing good about Marvel is its past, this other series, which is similar to the alien symbiote idea that I really liked, where it explores past eras of the Hulk, and with the writers that made them good. In this case, Peter David revisits the Hulk, and this is the Gray Hulk, Joe Fixit character. And I think it did cover already one of the issues, but I finished it, and it's pretty good. And it's a Spider-Man Hulk team up, and it's a bit silly, but it works. It works within the characters and within the context of the stories as they were at the time. Kingpin wants to muscle in on Vegas, but Gray Hulk, Joe Fixit, is the enforcer for the guy running Las Vegas, and so there you go. And insanity ensues, and then the personality battles within the Hulk and Banner and whatnot take place. So it's all there, and it all still functions. And oh boy, if only you could continue in the mold of it. Spider-Man's rogues show up, being hired by both sides of the conflict, and you have quite a battle. And but it is silly, and it is a funny team up between the two. But it, a lot of times they depend too much on silliness, but it works. It works out very well in this story, and it fits with how this could have played out. And I always thought a Spider-Man and Hulk team up series could work in a lot of different ways. But anyway, so once again, not that everything has to be set back in that era of it, but the lessons there, and of course the veteran writers still have it more than their new crop of writers who were placed there perhaps because of skin and genitals and whatnot and that sort of thing. Well, that's not a good enough requirement. Merit, of course, still holds sway. And when your merit is great and you create a great product, in this case, fun superhero comics, you end up like Grey Hulk here. Yeah, you get to hold stuff like that. Lots of it. And then ladies like this really like you. Anyway, yeah, once again, going back to the past, because they have no future. Well, speaking of crossovers and team-ups, I've been checking in on Moon Knight. There's some interesting things to it. The artwork is curious in that on one level it's really good, and then on another it's not. This is not the artist's work in the interior. But this was just a team-up issue. The previous one was sort of a team-up issue. But I guess Tigra is now Moon Knight's girlfriend for the moment. Yeah, and they revealed a little bit there. I knew she had this affair with Hank Pym, but it turns out she actually ends up having an affair with his Skrull doppelganger, and he fathered her child. So, yeah, but that's the kind of silliness of the superhero soap opera that happens. But I guess Hank Pym did, and now Moon Knight will be hacking hairballs and whatnot. But anyway, they follow that up with this, where it's a team up with Venom, and now Eddie Brock apparently is dead, so his son has taken over. He has a son. And so Dad left him an alien parasite. But it's one of those things about the Venom is you get the Venom, but he's still this bulked up bodybuilder physique. Now, the original explanation for the physique was because Eddie Brock had taken up weightlifting because of all the stress he was under, and he was hoping that would help him deal with it. So he was had a much bigger physique than Peter Parker did. So when the suit got on him, he was just bigger. And then, of course, the mouth and everything came with it. But since then, it's just like anybody who puts on this, except the one time this woman had it, so she didn't. But it's like, so his kid is his kid. I can't remember if they actually established how old he is. But then, but he's this big hulking monster afterward. And now, instead of webs, he shoots chains. So. But anyway, that's been it's not bad. It's a funny little romp where these supervillains that have been hired to come get Venom attack, and Moon Knight offers him help and sanctuary within his midnight mission. And it's on his territory, so they foolishly walk in, even though they're superpowered. He takes them out, and he's able to control the ground. And it's obviously some supernatural aspects to it because all proportion is out of whack, and they can't quite function very well and see what they're doing in there. So him and Venom, and he wipes them out. He deals with his current villain, while the villain, with Venom's help, I'm forgetting the guy's name, the Sonic powered guy. He locks himself up in a panic room and says, "I'm calling the police and I'm going to turn myself in." In the hopes that that'll keep him safe from the Moon Knight. So that was interesting. So Moon Knight and Venom go back home, and Venom, offers Venom you can be a part of my team and stay here and we'll look out for you. After all that, I mean, they did defeat the initial villains that were after him, but Venom says, I'm just going to go home. So it was just a team up. So, but yeah, it was all right, but it could be better, Yeah. Oh boy, at this point you're thinking, boy, I've been a bit lackluster on some of these titles. You had some praise for them, and then you kind of talk them down. Was there anything that really stood out and you thought was really excellent? Can you guess? Yes, another issue of World's Finest. So a new version of Amazo is basically the ultimate outcome of this. But you get some good romps here where they discover in the previous issue of something very horrible happened to the Metal Men, but they form a super duper pooper scooper armor for Batman to come in and save the day as this new morphing Amazo character attacked Superman with kryptonite, and Robin was on the run with him, and then here comes Batman to help them out. And then later they make an armor for Superman as well to take on that kryptonite. For a while there it works, but the creature gets the better of them, attacks them. Robin gets pretty seriously damaged with acid, and the acid compound, because it's copying Metamorpho's abilities, and so it ultimately wins the battle, kidnaps Superman and Batman. And Robin and Metamorpho have got to come up with a plan to try to rescue them. Meanwhile, Superman and Batman are held prisoner along with a bunch of other scientists, some of whom are villains, some of whom weren't, but they've all been kidnapped and are forced to create this new super duper pooper scooper Amazo. So that's where it is, and it's great. It's just a superhero adventure. There's a villain up to no good, and Batman and Robin are in the thick of it. Yeah, sometimes it's just as simple as that. So, once again, World's Finest for the win. Anyway, there we go. I have completed an indie book called Rogue Sun, and might go more into depth on that at a later date. But it's not bad. It's pretty good. So, might delve more into that. That was the collected first volume of it. It's currently in its second volume, I believe. And I'll catch up on that and tell you what I think. But in the meantime, there you go. That's, the Marvel and DC that I've read. And, but again, World's Finest remains World's Finest. Yeah, imagine that.